Those are your headlines, guys.
Yeah, why bother even having tests?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, thank you, Ash.
You're welcome.
All right, yesterday, the briefing room, the Brady briefing room in the West Wing of the White House absolutely erupted because the reporters had been told earlier that there was going to be a joint press conference with the Prime Minister of Ireland later today. They always have that ceremony. They bring in shamrocks. Joe Biden's going to be all part of it. Then he's going to go up to Capitol Hill and have lunch at the Congress. So when the reporters started to erupt, then Karine Jean-Pierre said, hold your horses. There will be a spray event where the cameras will be in there. The pool will be able to shout questions. But the problem is when shouted questions are asked of the president, he doesn't necessarily have to answer, unlike the 2 and 2 with the joint press conference with the prime minister.
Well, she insists that he is going to take questions, right? And the reporters just erupted on her, saying this is becoming a pattern. He's telling us he's going to answer questions. He's not doing that. Here's a little taste of what happened yesterday.
You laid out a very detailed schedule for the president tomorrow with the Prime Minister of Ireland, but it did not include a 2 and 2 press conference. Can you say why not and whether that might be added to the schedule tomorrow?
So these are diplomatic conversations that happen with the countries that are visiting, and it is something that is decided in that way. But there will not be a 2+2 tomorrow, as you just noted. Your colleagues will have an opportunity to ask questions during the pool spray of the Oval. At the Oval that happen every time a head of state visits. So that is an opportunity to be able to pose a question to the president or the head of state that is visiting the White House on that day. But again, this is coordinated. That's not true. He's answered questions. I cannot speak to who's going to take questions or who's not going to take questions. As you know, this is a president that takes shouted questions often.
So here's the thing. For her to tap dance through that and their communications division communicating with the chief of staff not to make the president available is not a choice. You have a job as president to communicate. Obviously, she has no message. She plays defense and just deflects every single question she gets. Think about what's happened over the last 48 hours. We had a banking crisis. He gives a 3-minute speech and literally turns away from all these questions. We have regional banks that may or may not be solvent. A Treasury Secretary that's getting grilled on Capitol Hill. He's a no-show. Then we get a drone, a Predator drone, shot out of the sky by the Russians. One of the most substantial clashes between two powers that we've seen over the last 50 years. He is in Las Vegas talking about guns, talking about an executive order that nobody even knows what he's talking about. You would think if he'd be proud of it, he'd be talking about it. Then he's going to a fundraiser out there. He should want that opportunity to explain to the American people why you should not worry about regional banks if that's indeed the case. This is how I'm handling Russia. I'm watching the belligerent approach to the Mexican government has towards our country when it comes to fentanyl on the border. I noticed what's happening with Republicans and Democrats down there. I got to comment on what the Border Patrol said about the security of the border and his recommendation to build the wall that Joe Biden refuses to do, even though we paid for. This is the type of thing you'd want to do if you run to be leader of the country. Instead, he runs from the press. It is so disrespectful to the people and to the press corps.
Well, he gets away with it. He wants to, they want to keep a clean slate until he declares he's running for re-election. And so that's what they're going to do.
Tell that to the Russians. I mean, he can't do it. You're president of the United States. It's not up to you to have a clean slate. You're not running for office. You're in office.
Right.
You have the job.
He can do what he wants.
No, but it's not acceptable. And it should never be acceptable. By us.
Well,
is it acceptable to you? Are you okay with that?
I want
Turning your back on the press?
I want to hear from him as much as possible.
So why is it acceptable?
It's a choice.
It's a terrible choice, and it's disrespectful to the country.
You have made that very clear.
Listen, if that's going to be his choice, then he has to be open to criticism, because
He's getting plenty of it.
The American people want to hear from him, and when our banks are collapsing and people are scared, the president should come out and speak.
Yeah,
but it is his choice not to.
It absolutely is.
But you know what? It helped him. He was in the basement campaigning, and he won.
He didn't have the job. He didn't have the job. This is a president. As if Donald Trump chose not to talk about the pandemic and avoid criticism, that would be a terrible decision, because you have an opportunity to lead. The Russians just shot a $50 million Predator drone out of the sky, and they're trying to fish out the cutting-edge technology. And he doesn't feel compelled to talk about it.